have no music for cues with the buttes in my head. But Fred,
Finally.
we're gonna just go ahead. Aha!
Finally.
Kidding. That was a little cues with the buttes. Let's rock and roll. We've got a lot to cover, so I will keep it simple for producer Fred here. A lot of really great questions this week, you guys, and I hope this continues throughout the playoff series, however long that may go for us. Fred, hit us up.
We got a lot of tongue-in-cheek questions, too. First one from Pat M. Will the Wild go undefeated in the playoffs? Thanks.
These are questions for fan line Pat M.
Yeah.
In case you guys didn't realize that's Pat.
Where's Pat
Nicoletti.
Nicoletti when we need him?
No, they're not going to go undefeated in the playoffs. Answered. Done. Move on. Alexis?
Yeah, no, they're not. They're not. Next question.
All right, Cade F. Should we be concerned about the Wild's backup goaltending situation?
I'll kick this one off. I know we talked a little bit about it.
Yes, thank you, Fred.
Yes, keep moving
Move on.
forward. Yes, we talked about this in this week's episode a little bit, and we wanted to dive in deeper to the conversation. Capo has not looked like the Capo that we saw at the beginning of the season when he really needed to step up to the plate. Concerned, I wouldn't necessarily say, because I think we still know that he's a very capable goaltender, and he's a very capable backup goaltender at this point. The more concerning to me is, can Cam Talbot stay hot or get hot again? I mean, he's cooled down a little bit. Is the starting goaltending completely there and ready and poised? So, I mean, worried and concerned, I guess, are synonyms. Yes, I'm slightly concerned, I guess, ultimately.
You just went in a whole circle.
I went in a whole circle. I keep changing my mind because I don't want to put all of this on Kähkönen. He is still a rookie goaltender, and what he did for this team when he needed to was so tremendous that I do not want to tarnish that by any means. I just think, he's lost a lot of his luster. I mean, really, everyone can point to the April 9th game, which I often do in St. Louis, but also, I mean, Colorado too. He let in 6.
I forgot about
Talbot
that one.
did too. Yeah. So I just think you've seen him let in some of those easier goals that he was making saves on prior. Lucky for them, they are able to get a practice day in. So I imagine they're going to go hard. I'm sure Kähkönen's going to be working extra hard. Cam Talbot as well. But again, I think between the two, backup's less concerning, right? Capo can step in and do the backup job, hopefully just fine. And not that Cam's playing poorly either. It's just not as great as he had been. He's showing a little bit more glimpses of kind of the Cam Talbot that I thought we were going to get all season. So little worried, but not overly concerned. It's still a better situation than we had last season.
Yeah, you kind of touched on what was in my head as well, in the sense that it's his rookie season still. You got to cut him a little bit of slack. Not everyone's going to come into the league and blow everybody out of the water. It takes guys, and especially netminders, some time to get adjusted to their role in the NHL. It's a harder position to transition into than a forward or a defenseman. And secondly, he really did help this Minnesota Wild team in a time when they really needed that help. He was there for them, and he got them some wins, and he played impressively, and he went on this long win streak. And as a backup netminder, the way that you grow into your role is a little bit different than a starting netminder, because you're not getting those starts every single game. You're not getting the chance to prove yourself night after night. So when you do get thrown in there, sometimes the team is struggling and they're trying to mix it up, and that's why you got put in there. And maybe you get the short end of a stick and you take a loss because the team isn't playing well. And maybe because he's so young, he hasn't had time to figure out how to come into that backup role and just play well on a night when maybe he hasn't played in 2 weeks. So yeah, I would say I'm not concerned either. Definitely something to keep in mind as the next seasons come about and see how he plays in that backup role. But given what he did for the Wild when they needed him, I'm not super concerned about it right now. No.
Fred, let's go up to our next question.
And this is definitely a great question. How many games does the series last, and why is it 4? From Seth T.
Seth T, our buddy over on Locked On Wild. Be sure you're going to listen to him on Locked On Wild. Good man. Good dude. Hilarious question. I think it's going to 7, though. I mean, it's going to be a 7-gamer. If it's not, I'm going to be both utterly disappointed, but also very yep, okay, of course this is what happened.
Disappointed, but not surprised.
But not surprised, exactly. I mean, Alexis, do you think they have it in them to go past 4?
Yes, just with the way that with this team specifically. If you would have matched them up against a different team, I think I would have had different feelings. But against the Golden Knights, with the way that they played each other in the regular season, I don't see how it doesn't go 7 games. Seth, I would love for it to be 4 games and a Wild sweep, but it's not going to happen. And if it does,
you flipped the script there, Alexis. Alexis. A
If
wild
it
sweep.
does,
You know that's not what he meant.
no, what? No, I don't know. No, I would love for the series to be over quickly, get on to the next round, and just be free of that first round barrier the Wild have always had a hard time getting past. But the way these two teams have played each other has been so tight. And come on, this isn't just what I think. I need a 7-game series. Okay, we have had such an exciting matchup between these teams in the regular season. Don't cut me short here in the postseason. I want 7 games, and I want fun matchups here. So I think it's going to be a long series between these two teams.
I mean, I want at least 6 games because that gives me 3 guaranteed paydays.
There you go. Yes,
that's
Jesse
what
needs
we
money.
need.
Come on,
Yes,
Wild.
Let's do that. Again, we have daycare kids to feed, diapers to buy, folks. If I'm going to put that new tip jar on Twitter too. Be sure to feed that when you guys can, please and thank you. Next question, Fred.
That's from Sean. Heard talk Boldy and Rossi up for this series. Is that true?
Definitely not Rossi. That will not happen. He's
Yep.
just now starting to get training. Obviously, he had those issues with COVID. Boldy, I most likely just because they do have that Black Ace situation. I'm not entirely sure how the Black Aces work in addition to the taxi squad this year. That's still something I'm not totally clear on. And again, it matters with, I think cap space goes away in the
Mhm.
playoffs. So
Yep.
that's why you could see Boldy up. Again, there's some of those constraints. Vegas struggled with that a lot this year. But yeah, I imagine he'll be up as a Black Ace. A Black Ace, for those of you that don't know or have never followed, are basically their call-ups on the team, which are basically a taxi squad in the past, right?
Yeah.
That probably aren't going to see much ice time. And again, I would love to see Boldy in there, but who do you take out? Who do you put put in, especially in the playoffs? And that's kind of integrating him by fire, as we talked about with him last week. So Rossi, for sure, we will not see him until training camp at the very earliest for next season. Boldy, though, I'm sure you'll see rostered on the Black Ace squad.
Yeah, Jesse, you summed that up perfectly. So Fred, let's hit the next question.
Fair enough. So Matt C., would you agree it would have been smart to get Boldy in a regular season game before possibly just throwing him in the playoffs?
That wasn't even planned, by the way, to have those questions back to back.
I was going to say, this is what I want to talk about right here. This is the question I was waiting for.
Kick it off, Alexis.
Yeah, I think yes. And I'm looking at not just Matt Boldy as a player, but just specifically this Minnesota Wild season. I sound like a broken record, but this team does not need to shake up the lineup. These guys that are in this lineup and have consistently been in this lineup have provided for this team. That's why they are in a playoff spot and why they have had such a successful season. And as excited as I am to see Matt Boldy play in a Minnesota Wild hockey game and maybe even play in the playoffs, I don't think that you need to throw him into that situation. And if the situation arises where there's injuries, which would be a terrible situation and we wouldn't want to have to deal with that, then maybe you throw him in. But don't shake up this Wild lineup. I think we can wait a little bit longer to see Matt Boldy. He's young. He'll get here eventually. This Minnesota Wild team, I think the roster is just fine as it is right now. Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, again, we talked about it with Matt Boldy. That's got to be just so hard to come into a playoff series and have that be your NHL debut. An exciting time, certainly, but it would have been nice to see him, and especially with the way that the team ended up performing to close out the regular season in St. Louis. There was no reason not to have him there. Again, there was likely cap constraints, and I do appreciate that the Wild are not rushing his development and rushing him into it. So maybe he really isn't quite ready yet. But it would have been nice to get a regular season game in before maybe putting him into the playoffs. But can't change it now. It is what it is. So let's all move on. Speaking of moving on, Fred, let's move on to the next question.
All right, we got 3 from Adam C. He went 1, 2, 3.
Adam C., thank you for all the questions. We are going to fuel us for the rest of like the playoffs at least. Appreciate them.
All right, number 1. Do you think it's good the Wild got some humble pie before the playoffs, or would you rather they went out on the high note?
Again, this was a good segue. I like it because we just talked about this.
I really truly think it's irrelevant, to be honest. I mean, they obviously, once you secure that playoff spot, you have your not only a playoff spot secured, but your specific seeding secured. You're obviously not playing for anything anymore as far as what's going to happen for you in the playoffs, and you don't want to risk players getting injured at the end of the season and then going into the playoffs. We've seen that so many times with the Minnesota Wild where we've had late season or early playoff injuries, and it's not fun to deal with. So I mean, yes, I want the Wild to win games, obviously, like that. I'd rather have that than them blow a 3-goal lead and lose 7-3 against the Blues. Yes. But I'm not worried about it in the sense that, like, oh my God, like, are the Wild, are they a bad team? Like, what's going to happen now? Like, I'm not hitting the panic button because they lost 2 games to the St. Louis Blues.
I mean, and you consider St. Louis has really found their groove at the
Mhm.
right time. I mean, again, I tweeted it out, half kidding, half serious. I'm glad that they're not playing the Blues in the first round
Yeah.
because St. Louis is looking like that hard grinding team that would just dominate the Wild. As far as the final 2 games go, I mean, neither team had really anything to play for at that point. And as
Mhm.
you saw, there were 5 regular starters, including Kaprizov, Spurgeon, Fiala, I think Zuccarello sat out in Thursday's game to give
Mhm.
other guys a chance to kind of get some ice time under their belts. So there were slightly glorified exhibition games in a sense. However, I still would have liked to see a better performance from everybody because I also think there's
Yep.
value in those 2 games before heading into playoffs to really make sure you've got the kinks worked out and make sure that you
Mhm.
are going to be your very best. And I think there were still some very glaring imperfections in
Yep.
the games that we saw. Again, noting that, yes, they don't mean anything, but I think the Wild, I don't think we're approaching it. I think it'd be easy to say, well, we knew there was nothing to play for. I think they just had some big screw ups that'll obviously
Yes,
again
they
need to be
did.
worked out
Yeah.
before Sunday. But yeah, I mean, would have liked to see a better ending, but again, it is what it is. We move on. Like we're moving on to the next question.
Next question from Adam C. Thoughts on the taxi squad group now that the regular season is over?
I love this question because I think it's something I hadn't really thought of, right? Because the poor taxi squad guys just practice with no real glory for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, you get paid, but you don't get to play any games. You don't get to have some of that fun. And it's just kind of a ho-hum practicing type of situation, which nobody wants to just practice all day. Like we talk about practice, not a game, not a game.
Yeah.
Practice. It's a good set. Go look that one up, Fred, if you don't know what it is.
Allen Iverson? Are you kidding me? I'm older than both of you. Watch your mouth when it comes to memes and stuff. Watch your mouth.
Fred's gonna put you in a timeout, Jesse.
Meme, Fred?
That's a meme at this point. At this point, it's a meme.
Anyway, no, but you look at the important role that they did play. Kyle Rouse stepped in when he really needed to.
Mhm.
Luke Johnson stepping in when he needed to. Dakota Mermis stepping in. Excuse me, and doing fairly well, holding their own. I mean, I don't think there were certainly glimpses of like, oh wow, Luke Johnson really did good here, or Kyle Rouse really did well here. I mean, nothing to totally write home about. I don't think it's solidified them a spot, but they played exactly the role that they needed to, and I thought they did well. And it was nice to see that everybody got a chance to get in on the taxi squad too, except Andrew Hammond. Obviously, there was no need for him to do that at the goaltending position, but yeah, I liked it. I thought it worked out well for them, and that's my answer to that one.
Yeah, I mean, Luke Johnson, I think single-handedly dragged the Wild back from the dead at the faceoff circle for a stretch of that season. So shout out to him for that. But I feel the same way about the taxi squad as I do about Kähkönen, kind of what we talked about earlier, where you're asking a young person to step up in a tough role and get you some wins and help you get some success on the season in a difficult time. And I thought the taxi squad did a great job. I mean, there was no point where those guys were playing where we were like, oh my God, like what is happening? Like this is horrendous. Like where are the starters? Like there was not that panic, right? It stunk that we had to be put in that situation, and you had to have those guys come up and play certain games when there was injuries or during that stretch of COVID when there was some players still recovering. And I was very impressed with what they did and very excited for what they're going to do more long-term with the Minnesota Wild. But yeah, great question to think about here as we finish out the regular season.
And last but not least,
finally from Adam C. Our team matchups overrated when it comes to the playoffs. Need to beat 4 other teams to get the cup regardless of what city they play in.
I mean, this kind of puts a bow on all of it, right? Like we said, it's great that Minnesota's meeting Vegas, but they have to see Colorado eventually if Colorado gets out of the first round. I mean, there's never – it's nice. I mean, certainly the first round matchup, and you do look at the 1 versus 4 seed and how it should be given to the 1 seed, right? But then there's a possibility for upset, yada, yada. I mean, I think – you're right. It is kind of meaningless. It's just another series. The only thing I like about this is I like watching just a Vegas Minnesota Wild series more than I would like watching a Colorado Wild series. So at the end of the day, you've got to go through everybody in order to get to the cup. But I'll be excited for this first round just for the pure entertainment factor, if anything.
Yeah, I'll say yes and no. Yes, it's irrelevant in the sense that you do have, I mean, you still have to win 4 playoff series to win the Stanley Cup, and you're going to have to go through tough teams either way. So that doesn't matter in that sense. The one time I will say that maybe it does matter who you match up against is every team has a certain team who just has their number. Like you just don't play well against them that season, no matter what, for maybe no reason whatsoever. And if maybe a different team can beat that team for you in the playoffs so that you don't have to play against them, that's a positive. Think about like if the Colorado Avalanche can beat the Blues and the Wild can get out of the first round. I think at this point, I'd honestly rather play Colorado than the Blues in the second round. Like that's where I'm at because the Wild just do not know how to beat Colorado or the Blues this season. So
Right.
in that kind of situation, I'm like, sure, if someone can beat that team that's got your number all season, that might do you a favor moving through the playoffs. But at the end of the day, you got to win 16 games to win that Stanley Cup. So it really doesn't matter, I guess, who you play against.
Absolutely.
It does matter.
Why?
All right, Fred,
let's spill
hey.
the tea.
Does
Fred!
matter.
Spill the tea,
Okay,
Fred.
what do you
Sorry, I've
got
been
for
silent
us?
like this whole record. But
Yeah,
I actually,
tell us what
it
you
does
know.
matter. In the financial world of the Minnesota Wild and their fan base, it does matter. They have not gone deep in how many years? I mean, like 4 games and bye-bye? 5
Yeah.
games bye-bye? Like when it comes to financials and marketing and teams, it matters. Getting deeper matters.
That's what she said.
Mhm.
Mm. And on that note, that's another edition of Cues with the Buttes. I'm trying to think of like a good porn theme to go with that comment. I don't know. Thank you guys all for sending in your questions. Keep them coming. These are seriously a lot of fun. We'll have plenty more kind of fun little tidbits as we descend into playoffs and get things rolling. Be sure you check out this week's episode 73 with Shayna Goldman for more in-depth analysis as the Minnesota Wild get ready to make a deep run, as Fred said. The 2021 Stanley Cup. Get deeper. Hashtag
Okay, so second
get
round.
deeper. Get deeper.
Yeah, that should be the Wild's
That's a
playoff
shirt.
motto.
That's our new playoff shirt. Be on the lookout for it. All right. Have a good day, you guys. Bye-bye.